Älvdans is a Swedish word. It refers to the low-lying fog that rises and hangs in summer or autumn. Directly translated, it means elf dance or fairy dance, for it was once believed that the invisible folk danced along the meadows, and this was their mark on the world, fleeting, eerie, and glowing. Hello and welcome to your winter 2022-2023 shapeshift readings. We are looking at the shape you're shifting out of, the shape you're shifting into, and what that shapeshift looks and feels like over the winter season. I'm Andy, I'm your reader, and I'm here with the Älvdansen tarot, created by Araminta and Timothy Bilek, using AI technology to contact the spirits of the Alvorna, the Swedish elves. And this deck follows traditional tarot, but is very unique in the way that it communicates and the images it presents and the lore that it holds. So we are going to let the spirits in these cards speak to your readings today. If you've been following my readings for some time, you know that typically as we get further into the full reading, I use lots of other decks and clarify, and we end up with a big spread. Today, we are just going to let the Alvorna speak through this deck for your shapeshift this winter. There's a gorgeous guidebook that has these songs, these poems for each of the cards that was also created using AI technology. So we will be using this as a resource in conjunction with the deck today. A little bit different, very powerful. Let's get into it. What is the shapeshift for Gemini in this winter season? Hierophant. Okay, interesting. Nice. I love this on the bottom of the deck. We're going to keep that out. Okay, let's look at this shapeshift together here, Gemini. So we have the Hierophant right in the center here, and the Ace of Seeds and the Three of Seeds on either side, and the signifying words here are abundance and collaborating. So Gemini, it looks to me like some bit of higher guidance or higher information is coming in for you regarding like something new that you may be creating, or some new way of existing in the world that has to do with creating abundance through collaboration. Maybe it is a realization that there is more that you can do when you do it together. I'm just looking at the image in this Hierophant card and how there's almost like two faces looking at one another within that one face, which really evokes the Gemini twins imagery here. That finding a way to cohesively collaborate with the different energies present within you, the different energies that you are surrounded by and that you want to work with. There's like a cohesion that's happening, that's starting to happen, not only like mentally and philosophically, but actually in your tangible experience, Gemini. And I'm thinking about how this winter, Mars is stationing direct in your sign. So it has been retrograde for an extended amount of time through about mid-January. And then once mid-January hits, Mars is going direct. And so there's a big shift here specifically for your sign. And there's this question about like, What have you been going through since the end of October when Mars stationed retrograde in your sign? Like, what happened for you from Mars to January? What shift was made that you are now maybe seeing the fruits of in your tangible experience? Because seeds or pentacles, this suit is earth. This is the tangible human physical experience. And you have abundance through collaboration here. And maybe the collaborating aspect is the shape you're shifting into, and perhaps that's something that's a bit new to you here in this winter season. I do also want to talk about a card that's on the bottom of the deck here that is certainly a part or influencing this reading. We have, I believe this is the Sun of Seeds. So in this deck, the royals are not page, knight, king, queen. They are son, daughter, lord, lady, and they are called the descendants. They are the descendants of the spirits in the major arcana. So I really like that. The descendants of the suit, maybe would be a better way to say it. And so the Sun of Seeds is of the fire of the earth suit. And in the deck, the creator talks about this energy as like a Prometheus, carrying the knowledge of the gods or the knowledge of fire and bringing it to the human experience in earth. This is that, like, bringing something down into matter, into form, into shape, which really feels like that Ace of Pentacles or Ace of Seeds. So it is important to emphasize here, Gemini, that this is just a seed. And you, as Prometheus, as the Hierophant, you may be the one that is like making this manifest or bringing this into flesh, into being. But whatever it is that you are bringing into being cannot happen in isolation. It cannot happen alone. The seed can only grow through collaboration. I really love too this through line that's happening here with what looks like the poisonous mushroom. Showing up in the Hierophant and also showing up in the Three of Seeds. So there's this like realization, especially since it's above the head. And actually I'm realizing there's 3 of them here. Is that? Well, I guess just 2, but there's more than one beginning to percolate here, but it all starts with some sort of idea or maybe just a shift in philosophy or a shift in how you've been thinking about something, Gemini. And again, I think it's that Mars retrograde that really shifted your perspective in a way that is now becoming very real. And it's starting to show up, maybe in like little ways in your life, because this is just the beginning, this is just the ace, the pure potential of whatever this is that you have realized that is starting to show up as maybe like people or other resources or other energies within you even that are beginning to collaborate to create something more from this one seed, this like singular piece of knowledge that I think you are very much acting on. Again, with Mars in your sign, there's a sense of extra activation, maybe even urgency. Just don't forget that Earth moves slowly and you have a lot of Earth here in your shapeshift reading this winter. So don't let the urgency that you feel in your mind, Gemini, negate the fact that changes are happening in the tangible world. They just might not happen as quickly as they do in your mind. That's something to consider. You know, in the Hierophant card, this is you with all of your ideas percolating in your mental sphere. And then in the earth plane, it shows up one at a time, you know? How can your mind, your mental experience work together with the tangible world? You know, like where do they meet rather than just being in isolation from one another? Like how can you begin to collaborate with the pace at which you are imagining and thinking forward and the pace at which it actually happens in real tangible time and experience? Okay, so the way I want to take this reading, we have a spirit of the major arcana here present in your reading already. And one thing I really love about the Älvdansen tarot is that Araminta considered the AI technology as a vehicle to actually contact the spirit of this card, the spirit of this Alvorna behind the archetype of the Hierophant. And through the AI was able to show its image, was able to access its like voice or particular way of expressing. And so we have that here in the guidebook. I'm going to read you a little bit of that voice because I think it's really beautiful, specifically this Hierophant in this deck. But also there is this spread that Araminta suggests for contacting the spirits in the major arcana. We're going to do a pared down version of this spread together here today, and we'll get into that momentarily. But first, let's see what the Hierophant has to say. I am the protector of those who have been forgotten. I guard against evil. I protect the innocent. There is no good or bad fruit. They are both equally good, both equally worthless. Choose whichever you wish. Gemini. They're both equally good. They're both equally worthless. The morality that we assign good and evil and yes and no and all of this is not necessarily applicable. We're getting this like much more mutable energy of choice. It's just a matter of what do you want to choose. And Araminta describes her experience in contacting this spirit as in this way. The Hierophant prioritizes their own agenda in conversation. The Hierophant has conversations with themselves and dislikes being interrupted. You may find they answer questions with questions, and if you are patient, they deliver an answer. The Hierophant can see the truth in you that is overlooked by others. They scrutinize everything. This is a spirit for seeking old knowledge and honoring tradition. Gemini. It's a beautiful energy to come through for you because it sounds like that description of the Hierophant just sounds like a description of Gemini to me. And so there's something very, very important here, Gemini, especially in the beginning of the winter season, as so much the Sun, Mercury, Venus are all moving through Sagittarius and opposing Mars and Gemini. And then later in the season, they'll start entering Pisces and squaring Mars and Gemini. So your energy is activated this winter. What conversations are you having with yourself? Because this actually does feel like that. I mean, right from the beginning, the collaboration I'm noticing is these two faces within the face. What kind of, pay attention to the conversations that are happening in your mind. Don't interrupt them, you know, like let the different sides of you speak without judgment or morality or compartmentalizing or categorizing. You know, it's sort of like, let it be this like generative, collaborative, maybe even like chaos for a time being, because there's something important about not being interrupted. It's just like, let that conversation happen inside of you. You may find more questions, you're asking questions and answering them with more questions. It's like, it's sort of this energy of like, follow the rabbit hole and don't be afraid to scrutinize as you are seeking whatever this truth is, this old knowledge, honoring tradition. There's something that it's like, it's almost like you arrive at a conclusion that is tale as old as time, that actually ends up bringing you back to basics. Plant the seed, work together, grow abundance. You know, it's like this formula is not novel. It's not new. It is actually old knowledge. And you may have to suss through a line of questioning and conversation that feels circuitous in order to get to that simple answer. Remember, if you are bringing this into, the mind is a complicated place. The earth is actually pretty simple. It's a simple element and it enjoys working with that kind of basic simplicity. Okay, we're really getting somewhere now. This like Promethean transition of not what transition that like chaos of the mind and that knowledge space has to make to become flesh. It has to get simplified. It has to become more basic. This is, okay, we're definitely getting somewhere now. Gemini, I'm going to continue this reading and we are going to contact the spirit of the Hierophant and see what else they have to say to you this winter. If this reading has resonated with you so far and you want to go deeper and really use this reading as a touch point for investigating your shapeshift over the winter season, the shifting space is the space to do that. All right, that's the online membership that I've created here at Unseen Hands Tarot. You can click the link in the description box to learn more. Not only will you get to access the rest of this reading, but you will access a community of other people, Gemini and, you know, much more in the zodiac, who are working together to essentially solve the mysteries of these shapeshifts over the course of the season. So, you know, we meet live, we pull cards together, we have an online chat space where we share our thoughts and feelings on the readings. If this sounds like the kind of support you could use in your own investigation over the season, head on over there, check it out. Again, link in the description. And I hope to see you over there, Gemini, so that we can really investigate this winter.